Hey guys, Foxdrop here. Today I'm doing a video talking about the greatest nerf that I've seen so far in Season 6, and also talking a little bit about buffing and nerfing in general, balancing champions in League, and the stuff that I like to see, and the stuff that I just don't really like to see, the stuff I'm not a fan of and would like to see less of. I'm not a pro at any of this. It's not my profession to buff and nerf champions. It's kind of just my opinion as a player, as a consumer of the League of Legends product. And so I thought I would talk about it a little bit. So firstly, let me tell you, before we get into the video, about these cool looking shirts. I don't know if you can see very well. It's a silver foil, so it's very shiny. But you see this, you like this, you like this. This is going to be, I'm going to be having a Teespring campaign. You guys can buy these shirts if you want to. It's my 500,000 subscriber celebration. It's a bit overdue because I did get hit 500k a little while back, but still, it's not out just yet, but it'll be out soon. So get ready, guys, get prepared. You can have this silver foil fox on white or black, and it's going to be really cool. Just keep your eyes peeled. I'll let you know when it all comes live. Don't worry about that. So what is the greatest nerf of Season 6 so far? Well, the thing that's coming out soon that I think is so good. I think it's probably one of, yeah, like I say, the best nerf so far. It's going to be the nerf to Yasuo. If you don't know what it is, it's on the PvE right now. It's going to be hitting live next patch, I believe. Your ultimate on Yasuo, currently what it does, like this is before the nerf, what it does is after you've used your ultimate, you then get like 50% armor pen to all of your attacks for however many seconds it is. So that's why Yasuo is like really good against anyone, because he just, even if they're really tanky, he'll ult them and then afterwards he just destroys their armor. Now the nerf that's coming through is they're changing the way that ultimate works so that that bonus armor pen that you're getting after using your ultimate only works on your critical strikes. Now the reason why I think this is such a good nerf is because what that does essentially is it means that if you're not playing crit Yasuo, i.e. the way that Yasuo is kind of meant to be played, because obviously his passive doubles the crit that he gets, if you're playing like a tanky Yasuo, you're going to get hit pretty hard. But if you're playing a standard, you know, assassin crit Yasuo, then it's not going to hit you very much. And if you've gone for the standard, you know, 50% Yasuo crit build, which of course then turns into 100%, then it's not going to hit you whatsoever. Now the reason why I think that is such a good nerf is because what that does is it really kind of, it like shackles the tanky build without hurting the assassin build. And this is what I think is really important in League of Legends, is finding a way to tame those tanky builds on otherwise assassin characters. If you think about probably the most obnoxious builds to play against, the most really just like irritating and stuff, when you play against it you just think, holy crap, I am so angry right now, why does this exist? A lot of those builds will probably be things where assassin characters have managed to find a tanky build that will work. Echo, when he got released, just became a full tank Cinderhulk jungler. That wasn't great because, you know, he isn't really designed as a tanky champion. Akali this season had that Sunfire Gunblade build. Gunblade obviously not being a tank item, but, you know, you just get like one damage item and then go full tank. That was bloody annoying. Fizz's Bruiser top with Ignite TP, he was pretty much full tank. That's bloody annoying as well. And then of course you have the Yasuo build with like Randuin's or Sunfire Rush and like Frozen Mallet or something like that. And even now another Echo build where you go Triforce and full tank. I personally think that's the most disgusting build of this patch, but whatever. Now these are all builds which lean towards the tanky side of things being put on champions that aren't tanky by design. Now the reason why I think that's just like so bad for League of Legends as a game, like really unhealthy for the game, I genuinely think it's probably like the worst thing you can have in League. Tanky builds doing ridiculous damage. When you go for these tanky builds, these champions were still having enough effectiveness to pick people off, to still have enough damage to make it happen, while also kind of getting rid of that downside of them being very vulnerable to obviously them being peeled off of your carries, or like being CC'd down and just killed. Basically get most of the reward while eliminating almost all of the risk. And that's something which is really bad because it's very frustrating to play against. It's just horrifying to play against, and I do feel for AD carries to an extent when, you know, AD carry mains cry everything. No offense if you're an AD carry main, but it's true. Like it just gets rid of all of the risk, you know, and it just keeps all the reward, and that's bad. That's really bad when you have assassin characters being able to do that. So the Yasuo nerf I think is really good because it does really hurt the tank builds while also keeping the assassin builds or like the squishy build, so there's still counterplay. If someone's tanky, still does a lot of damage, you don't feel like you have any counterplay. But if someone does a lot of damage but is actually quite easy to kill, then there's your counterplay. You just like stun them and you kill them. However, moving on here, I do want to talk a little bit about the nerfs that I actually don't like seeing in League, and these are the nerfs that I think change the way champions feel or the way champions play, as a means to obviously reduce their power levels. I think a big example of this would be someone like Kha'Zix. I think it was season 3. I've got a feeling it was season 3. They removed your ability to use W while you were in the air. You used to be able to throw out your void spikes while you're flying mid-leap. Now you can't do that. I don't like that change because what it does essentially is it just makes Kha'Zix feel a lot clunkier. It doesn't really... Obviously it's a nerf in itself, but it just feels like the kind of pros and cons, the pros of, okay, that Kha'Zix was too strong, let's nerf him. The cons being now he's just really, he just feels clunkier and uglier to play. I don't really think that is kind of like a good balance there. I don't really think you should ever nerf a champion while making them a lot clunkier in the process. Because the thing is, if you're playing against Kha'Zix, you don't think, oh, that's good, I can outplay him now because now he can't use his W in midair. You still, if you're isolated and you can't kite him or you can't burst him down, then you're still going to die. It's like if you're playing against Kha'Zix, you don't really feel that nerf. It's not really something that you think, oh yeah, that's noticeable for me. That's now an avenue for me to outplay him. You only really feel it, and you feel it a lot if you're playing Kha'Zix. And you could argue that, well, Kha'Zix is still a strong champion right now. Kha'Zix is good, so having this nerf is obviously, he's why complaining about the nerf. If he had it now, he'd be really, really strong. And I understand that thought process, but what I'm more talking about is not the nerf itself, but just the way it affects the way that Kha'Zix plays. You could still nerf Kha'Zix by like reducing his isolation damage, or reducing the move speed he gets while he's in his ultimate, or like the travel speed in his jump, or just little things like that, without having to put in that change that makes him clunky. And of course that brings us to the recent nerf to Gragas, where they made his ultimate like a balloon, so that even if you use it at really close range, it still takes quite a while before it goes off and explodes. That's a nerf which I just Gragas needs nerfs. That's fine, you can nerf Gragas, but I just don't like that. I just don't like the way that happens, because now that is something which just feels weird and clunky now to play as a Gragas player. I know I'm biased, but I'm still advocating nerfs on Gragas, don't worry. But just the way he was nerfed is what I don't agree with. And I think if you're playing against Gragas, you don't really feel like, oh, this guy now has a balloon for an ultimate. Okay, that's great. Now this is how I can outplay him now. If you're playing against Gragas, your number one complaint is probably how much damage he does while being so tanky. The fact that your W at max rank gives you almost 20% damage reduction, and if you're CDR capped, which is not without your means, you can well do that if you want to, then you have 100% uptime on that damage reduction, and you still have percentage health damage coming from your E, you still have a slow on your Q, a knockback on your E, and a stun, and a knockback on your ultimate. You still have loads of utility, you're still ridiculously tanky, you still heal for 4% of your max health every time you use the spell with your passive. There are loads of things you can nerf about Gragas to make him either less tanky or have less damage. And I just don't like the avenue of making his ult feel more clunky, because I think that it doesn't really address his core problems. Personally, I don't like seeing that, because I just think it really affects the Gragas players more than the Gragas victims. I just don't like the way that goes down, and I think there's just different ways you can be nerfing Gragas, and that kind of goes to all these champions who make a nerf that makes them clunkier. I am a big fan of just nerf people's base damages and increase their scaling if they're an assassin that's building tanky. That way they don't do as much damage while not having damage items. And then just nerf something that makes Gragas tanky or something like that, He actually did get that nerf where they made his E cooldown like 16 at rank 1 and then 12 at rank 5 rather than 12 across the board. That's fine, because now you are more incentivized to max your E second, which then means that you're not going to have the almost 20% damage reduction on your W by maxing that second, which is what you used to do. Like that, there you go. That was a nerf that actually went through, and that's a good nerf. I like that nerf. I mean, I don't because I'm a Gragas player, but it makes sense. It's fine. But I just that's just what I think about buffing and nerfing on champions in League. That's what I want to talk about in this video. Before we leave, I just want to show you some things because someone sent me. Is this this might be mirrored, so you might not be able to see this, but this says "Keep calm and ban Yasuo." Someone sent me this through my PO box because I'm always banning Yasuo on stream. So Mumble, thank you for that, mate. If you want to send me anything in my PO box, then I'll put a link to it down below in the description. And also, someone sent me this nice, drew me this nice art they sent to me on Twitter as well. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much, visiting. That's very nice of you. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching my video, boys and girls, and my little rant about buffing and nerfing. I hope you have a great, wonderful day. And I'll see you in my next video.